Hi, I'm Bill McMahon, and I'm presenting on the article Teaching Rhetoric Through Data Visualization. The article appeared in the journal Communication Teacher in 2011 and is written by Shannon Butler. The objective of the article, as stated by the author, is to help readers understand a speaker or author's worldview through text analysis. She also emphasizes the development of critical thinking skills and relies on using data visualization to help understand an author's true intent, perspective, ideology, whether that's very apparent or perhaps hidden in the text. She also relies on Kenneth Burke's notion of the deterministic screen, which I'll talk a bit about, as well as Burke's approach to cluster criticism, and I'll also explain that a bit. Burke wrote quite a while ago, and he developed a concept of the deterministic screen. The definition I found basically is, as stated by Burke, is a screen composed of terms through which humans perceive the world, and that direct attention away from some interpretations and towards others. So Burke really talks about how symbols and terms create images in the reader's mind, and if it's a speech, in the listener's mind, and help really convey the sense of reality and worldview of the author to the reader or listener. Cluster criticism is fairly straightforward. It's basically analyzing the frequency and intensity of word use. It can be used for critical analysis and more sophisticated analysis. And as the author points out, data visualization software, including free software, is an excellent tool for this process. And she also talks about how it's a rather new and emerging instructional method, and it should be used to help students critically analyze text. The author outlines a visualization activity focused on helping students understand an author's intent. And she outlines a process, which is basically finding a speech, determining the frequently used terms in that speech, and charting the terms that cluster together, and then discussing how those terms and the analysis and the visualizations can help you understand the author's intent and worldview. The actual visualization techniques the author talks about are tag clouds to determine the frequency of use and terms that cluster together, word trees to look at the context of how terms are used, and also the process of really discussing in small groups and engaging students in trying to understand the author's intent. So what I did was actually uploaded a speech, and I went through the process the author outlines, and hopefully that will illustrate to you what Butler's talking about in terms of how to approach text with visualization software. So I found a speech by Barack Obama from the campaign, I believe in 2008, when he was criticized for having attended a black church that many thought was a radical church. And he went to Philadelphia and gave a speech, some people think one of the best presidential speeches or campaign speeches ever, where he really looked at the history of the U.S. in terms of race and ethnic relations, and also looking forward to his vision of the future. So I thought that might be a good speech to put into the visualization software. So I've got a few shots of that, screens, and we can't go in very deep, but I think it gives you an idea of what the author describes in her article. So the first visualization was a single word visualization, where the terms black and white come up quite high. You can see the bold and the large font, but also other speech such as generation, community, country, American. It's very presidential in nature and inclusive. And you can also look at the terms that cluster around each of the terms like black and white, and look at how the frequently used terms that are related to those terms. You can also, with many eyes, look at two-word analysis, and in this speech, the author's Obama is referencing Reverend Wright, but also other terms come up. Healthcare comes up quite a bit, kind of foreshadowing maybe his agenda and his vision for the future. Future generations, perfect union, American people, black community, frequently use phrases with black men, black people. Again, you can go in deep on these. I'm going to go quickly through them. Wordle is also another visualization tool, which is a bit more artistic in nature, and but also it's doing a cluster analysis. And again, the same terms are coming up in Wordle quite a bit. And one of my favorite Wordle shapes visualizations it made was this one, which is, again, the terms black and white are prominent. Black is used more frequently than white in this speech. But again, some of the key terms: community, people, campaign, time, country. And moving on from that, word trees. You can take those terms that came up quite a bit and you can put them into a word tree and see the context in which they're used. So here, the term black is used with black experience, black churches. You can look at the term white and see how that is used. He's communicating that he had a white grandmother in the speech. Talks about white resentment. Women, the speech is very inclusive. He talks of women of every color and creed. People, you can see how he when he uses general terms such as people, he talks about future generations, how to work together, and terms that he doesn't use very often, like white men, that was used only once in the speech. And then finally, you can look at a term such as believe, which he uses quite a bit in the speech, and you can actually see the context in which that is used. Again, it's a very future-looking speech. We can get beyond the divisions, believes that the majority of Americans want to move on. We cannot solve the challenges of our time unless we come together. Those types of inclusive, future-looking, fairly presidential-sounding terms. So that concludes my overview of Butler's article, using data visualizations to critically analyze texts and understand an author's beliefs and intent. Thank you.